Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 100 Million Academy Daily Live Call. We're here with you every single day, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Tonight's guest is just me. So, we're going to talk about something fun and different tonight. It's diversified assets. If you follow me on social media, you may be wondering why I've been investing hundreds of thousands of dollars just this week and almost every week for the last few months on sports cards. So tonight's gonna be very different. We're gonna be talking about sports cards, why I'm investing, why Gary Vaynerchuk got me addicted to investing, and how the market has grown 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800% on some of these cards that are in my hand and on this table. And I'm gonna explain why a card goes up due to supply and demand. So don't think that just because you're not into the sports card space, you can't watch this episode. I'm gonna be talking about supply and demand, why cards go up, why marketing is important, and all those factors. So let's dive in. All right. So first you have to look back at history. In the sports card market, it's been around for 100 years, but it goes through waves. And what's happened is last year, Gary Vee, as many of you know him, Gary Vee asked me to go with him to a convention in Chicago called the National. The biggest sports card convention, everybody goes there. It's like the Super Bowl for sports cards. Well, I was in Chicago and I was only going to go for a few hours. I ended up staying for a few days. And every single day I kept extending and it kept extending because I saw what was happening and I saw the true excitement inside of Gary Vee. Why? Why does that matter? Well, normally I invest in the stock market. Obviously I invest into companies. I've angel invested into 36 different companies. That's what I like to do and that's what I know and love. But 30 years ago, I liked sports cards. When I was 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, I was buying and selling baseball cards. Right next to me, you can't see, but there's 30,000 baseball cards sitting just a few feet away. I love baseball cards. However, I'm really focused now on the basketball card market with just a little bit of baseball, and it's because basketball is global. The Asian market, especially China, Japan, Tokyo, they're obsessed with basketball and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're buying up a lot of the supply. What that means is, as the demand goes up and the supply gets taken away, well, what do you have? You have a big increase in prices, just like in any market. But in sports cards, you can actually track a detailed finite amount of these cards. And let me explain what that means. So when I was at the convention, I noticed that Gary was focused on PSA 10. PSA is the sports card rating system. There's a few other companies. However, PSA is still by far the number one, and you'll get more value if they're PSA graded. What does a grade mean? How the edges are, the centering of the card, how are the corners, is it faded, is it torn or tattered at all? You can get a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, a 7, 8, 9, 10. Your goal is this, a 10. PSA 10 is like the ultimate goal. That means it's pristine, gem, mint. Right below that, there's a 9.5, which you don't see too often, and then there's a 9. A 9 is fantastic. You'll notice some of the cards I show you today are a PSA 9 graded, which is great. But when you start to get to 8, those are considered good, and anything 7 or less is like, okay. When you get to 3, 4, and 5, then you should never even graded the card unless it's like 40, 50, 60 years old. So it's hard to find old school cards, vintage cards. It's hard to find those with a PSA 8, 9, or 10 because the way people carried their cards and stored their cards back in the day. So think about your dad, uncle, aunt, grandma that may have had basketball cards or sports cards or comic books or Pokemon or Magic the Gathering, all different types of collectibles, Beanie Babies, etc. from back in the days. Think about how they stored them. It's usually just a box in the attic or a box in the closet, or it's underneath their bed. It's just been there for years and years and years. So because of that, you might see LeBron James has, let's call it 2,000 of a PSA 10 graded card, of this card. This LeBron James PSA 10, exactly 1 year ago at that convention, Gary was buying these cards for $1,050. Let's just call it 1,000 to make it simple. He bought 50 of them for 1,000 each. I'll never forget. Why does that matter? This week, this card, if you try to buy it with this grading of 10, is $13,000. That is a bigger gain than any stock, any real estate, any other type of investment on something that you can see, feel, and touch. It's just a rare moment in time, and it's hard to grasp that kind of return. Now, are those returns typical? Of course not. Can you lose money on the sports card market? Of course you can. However, for this last year, while it got hot, I'm going to show you cards with 400%, 800%, 1000% increases, and I'm going to explain why. So LeBron James will go down in history as one of the greatest of all time, right? Michael Jordan, the legend, what's compelling about him is he can't get injured. Meaning he could get injured in his normal life, but it wouldn't matter to his sports career. Same goes to Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, all these legends of the game. They can't get injured because they don't play anymore. So their cards, when they're trading, there's less risk because unlike them, LeBron James can still get hurt. Zion Williamson and these players in my other hand, they can still get hurt. All these players can get hurt because they're active in the game. Ja Morant can get hurt. Luka, Zion, all these players, they can get hurt. Whereas Michael Jordan type rookies, these type of rookies, Michael Jordan, they can't ever get hurt. Michael Jordan can't get hurt, and that's why it's fascinating. So there's less risk in those. But what's interesting is the supply is less than you think, and the demand is increasing like crazy because guys like Gary are out there talking about it so often to his tens of millions of followers and all his people around him. He's got rappers, athletes, other influencers talking about it also, where now I became passionate about it. I've gotten a bunch of my friends, a lot of people that are actually part of the academy as instructors, are now investing in the sports card market as well because I can't stop talking about it the same way Gary can't. I keep referencing him because I'm in a group chat with him all day long, and he's just obsessed buying cards, which has got me super excited, and I've been buying a ton of cards, investing as well. So you see different variations of a Michael Jordan rookie card. This is actually the year before his rookie. This is called the Nike promo card. Why is it interesting? It has what's called a low pop, meaning it has a low population. There's just not that many of this card, and there's not that many that are going to have a really good grading on it. Like this is a PSA 10, a perfect rating. I bought this same card. I have a stack of them upstairs that are PSA 9, PSA 8, and I buy smaller, lower levels because I just want this card in general. What happens is when you get a card that's a PSA 10, the price gets crazy. The PSA 10 of this Michael Jordan, this one's an 8. The PSA 10 of this Michael Jordan ranges from $60,000 to $100,000. I don't buy a card like that. Very few people can afford a card like that. So what happens is the PSA 9s, the PSA 8s, and sometimes the PSA 7s, they go up in value a lot because people can't buy the PSA 10 if it's a $60,000, $80,000 card. Who can afford that? A very few, small percentage amount of people. However, what else happens is people go to start buying the lower level pricing, like a 9, 8, 7, or they'll buy a different variation of the same card, meaning Michael Jordan rookie card, also Michael Jordan rookie card. This is the most sought after in the world. This is like the holy grail of all Michael Jordan cards and almost any card on the planet. This is one of the holy grail cards. However, this card has gone through the roof because people can afford to buy into this card. They can spend $300, $400, now it's $600, then it's $800, now it's getting to $1,400, now it's getting to $2,000. And so what happens is you might be sitting there like, wait a minute. So if I buy a card for $400 and now it's $900, that's huge, right? That's very exciting because you're making over 100%. But think about doing it at scale. What I did at scale was I went and found guys like Ja Morant or Zion Williamson or Luka, and I try to go buy a bunch of those cards. So let's say you went and bought 20 cards, and those 20 cards were $100 each. So you spent $2,000 buying most of the same cards, right? This is just the same card in different variations. So let's say you bought 20 of them for $100 each. Now you spent $2,000. But those cards go to $300 or $400 or $500, like these cards have done. These cards are actually now going to $800, $1,200, $1,300. I was buying them for $75, $150, $200. Now the cards are over $1,000 on average. So why does that matter? Is when you can do it at scale. So right now you could spend money Let's say you're making $6,000 a month and you have an extra $300 a month. You know what? I'm going to use this as my discretionary gambling or investing. This is gambling, by the way. There is risk to this. It can go down. Things can happen. However, due to the supply, the fact that this LeBron James, there's only 1,996 of these. Okay, so let's call it 2,000 of these PSA 10s. If there's only 2,000 and the card went from $1,000 to $13,000, why? Why would it go up so much when somebody could just buy other LeBron James cards, right? There's other LeBron James rookies. Why doesn't people just buy that? They do want to buy that. They'll go buy this LeBron James. This is also a rookie card. But this card has gone up 800%. It's hard to grasp the numbers I'm talking about because I like stocks. I like investing. I like things that make 20%, 30%, 50% would make me do cartwheels. Most people, when they're investing, if they can make more than 10%, it's life-changing because that can really compound over time. A lot of financial advisors, if they can make you 6%, 8%, or 10%, I mean, they're like, you want them to babysit your children, you're so excited, you're so proud of them for making something so consistent, so good for you. If they can make you 8, 9, 10% a year, it's fantastic. The numbers I'm talking about is why I'm like sweating, excited, driving to stores, buying on eBay, buying on StockX, buying on all these places, like buying from dealers. There's a main guy I work with, his name is Jason at OTS Sports, that's OTIA Sports. I'm buying from these guys because it's just fascinating, the growth and scale, and I love the supply and demand. So let me go back to the LeBron James. Sorry, I'm jumping around a bit because I'm so excited to discuss this with you guys. So LeBron James 10. So let's say there's only 2,000 of these. The difference is, it sounds like, okay, well, that means at least 2,000 people need to bid on it and want to fight for a card. Well, let's say there's 10,000 people or 20,000 people that want to fight for that card. You can see why the card would go up because if 20,000 people are fighting for 2,000 cards, that's why you see it go from $1,000 to $2,000, $3,000, $10,000, etc. But what people don't think about is there's not 2,000 of these available. Let me repeat that. There's not 2,000 of this card available for us to buy and sell. They're just not out there. Why? Because a guy like me has a little stack of these. A guy like Jason, Gary Vee, different characters, they've got 5, 10, or a guy like Gary's got over 50 of these cards. 50 doesn't sound like a lot, but think about 50 out of 2,000. So if I have 20 out of 2,000, that's 1% of the global market of this card. If Gary's got 50 or more, you're talking about 2.5% of the global market of a card. Our friend Jason, I don't even know how many he has, 50 or 100 of them. All of a sudden, between 3 or 4 guys and girls, you might have 5, 10, 20% of the market gone on a single card. And we're not interested in selling the card. If you offered me $15,000 or $18,000 for this card, even though it's $13,000, I wouldn't sell it to you. Doesn't that sound weird? Because in other games, in other industries, I would do it every second of the day. If you offered me $15,000 for this chair that I paid $13,000 for, I would sell it to you in a heartbeat. For anything, right? For a watch, anything. If you offered me $15,000 for something I paid $13,000, I would do it all day. Even though I paid less than $13,000 and you offered me $15,000, I still wouldn't sell it because I believe this card will be worth $20,000, $25,000, $30,000, hopefully $50,000, etc. over time, because LeBron James is one of our greatest heroes. He's more like a superhero, as Gary says. So why does that matter? Well, if I won't sell you mine and I have my small stack, and Jason won't sell you his, and Gary won't sell you his, and there's other people like that, and then there's card shop owners, etc., that just are hoarding and collecting. Well, it sounds like there's 2,000 cards available, but really, there might only be 400 or 500 available. And those 400 or 500, once somebody buys it, they may not sell it because now they want to hoard it. And eventually it becomes a market where there might only be a couple hundred of such a pristine card. So at the same time, the demand goes through the roof. So the supply is shrinking, right? So let's say Dabbling comes in, he's like, you know what, I'm going to invest, I'm going to buy a card, I'm going to spend $500 and buy this card. And then this person buys it, that person buys it, that person buys it, and we all buy this $500 card. But now Dabbling doesn't want to sell his card. John, Jennifer, and all the other people that just bought the $500 card, they don't want to sell. They just bought it. You offer Daubling $600? Nah. You offer him $700? Nah. $800? It's interesting, but no. You're offering him a good percentage on his card, but he just wants to collect it, or he may not even know because maybe he's not active on eBay or StockX or in the market in general. He just wanted to buy that card for himself or his children and then place it into his garage or closet. You see what happens? So many people will start to buy these cards that are not now selling it or interested in selling it. They might not sell it for years and years, if ever. That happens at scale, especially on sought after cards where people want to buy it, and maybe not as an investment, even though it is an investment. Meaning they buy it, hold it for themselves, knowing it's going to go up, but have no interest in selling. They don't know when to sell. You might offer somebody 60% more than they paid for it, or 100% more than they paid for it. They just don't know when to sell. So let's start going through. The only football player I've been buying is a guy named Kyler Murray. So Kyler Murray is interesting. He's just ready to break a lot of records. This kid has done some phenomenal things. He has a lot to prove. I like the passion behind him. The other football player I would buy is obviously Tom Brady. I like to buy legends. So your Michael Jordans, LeBron James, Magic Johnson, those type of players. I like to buy legends, but I only want to buy their rookie cards. And you should really consider focusing on the rookie cards because of the supply and demand. Meaning, as the millions of people around the world start hearing about sports card market and they want to start to dabble, whether it's small, medium, or large investments, most of them will go after the rookie cards. All those other years, unless the card is special or unique, or there's like a 1 of 1 or 1 of 10, which we'll get into explaining, most people are going to focus on the rookie cards. And because of that, you want to focus on the rookie cards because you want cards that you collect for the future for them to want to be sought after, because that's where the supply and demand comes into play. So I like Kyler Murray for football. I like Tom Brady for football. If you understand football and if you understand sports, there are players that you can now bet on. Think about that for a second. If you like it, you're like, you know what? This player is going to be amazing. I think this quarterback's going to be the best. He's got amazing statistics. Well, now you can make a bet. You can literally say, okay, I'm going to spend $300 a month. Let's say you make $6,000 a month, and you're like, okay, I net $4,000, and I pay my overhead, my rent, my food. And I got $300 in disposable income that I want to gamble with or invest into. Okay, great. Every month, you could spend $300 buying Kyler Murray, for example, or buying cards that you like, Zion Williamson, John Morant, whatever players that you think might be the next shining star. You don't need, when I'm explaining these things, you don't need tens of thousands of dollars. Everything is relative. So if you want to invest a couple $100, over time, it will compound. At the same time, while you're investing, so $300, then $600, then $900, it's just going to keep compounding. Hopefully, if you're studying and choosing the right type of players and focusing on the really good ones, truly, you have to focus on the really good ones. That is very big and important. But the next part is the marketability. What that means is a player like in the soccer space, I focus on this guy, Kylian Mbappe. Mbappe is going to go down in history as one of the best soccer players of all time. Now, there are amazing soccer players out there, and you can invest in them. There are some phantasmic, Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi. I mean, there's guys that are just like absolutely phantasmic. They are similar in space where I would say those are good investments to buy because those are legendary players, and there's only so many players that you and I can name. What does that mean? Marketing is a huge aspect of this. There are players that will go down in history as some of the best of all time. However, their cards won't have that much value. You look at a player like Scottie Pippen, John Stockton. These players were putting up three-pointers like you would never believe, statistics that were just amazing, like breaking records, just absolutely phenomenal. And they were helping guys like Michael Jordan win championships. See the difference? Guys like Michael Jordan. The marketing is in the superstar. So even though a John Stockton or a Scottie Pippen was putting up numbers, huge in assists, crushing the game, well, the marketing went to the main character, the superstar, the hero, the legend. And so can those players have a big burst later? Yes. So could you say, I'm going to invest into a John Stockton, or I'm going to invest into a Scottie Pippen and then hope he gets fame later or hope something happens later? Absolutely. There's Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, a lot of amazing characters from our history. But you have to think about the marketing aspect. Because if the world knows you, like you have your own shoe deal, you're on TV, you're a host on television, that will help dramatically. I really want you to think about that. If a player continues on life after sports, they have a good chance of having a good resurgence for their sports cards. You will see certain players go on to open up car dealerships or open up chains of restaurants or become a broadcaster. Those type of players, because they have the constant eye of the people, their cards can and will gain in value over time because the supply and demand happens. Meaning, Shaq is hosting or Charles Barkley is hosting, people decide they're going to get in the sports card market. They think about who do they know. Well, the guy they know is the one commentating on TV every single week. All right, next player. So the important thing here is to do your research. I only invest into 10 young players, a half a dozen old school rookies. I mean, old school legends, but of their rookie cards. And then 1 to 2 players per sport. So I buy Kylian Mbappe for soccer. I buy Kyler Murray for football. I buy guys named Jason Dominguez and Juan Soto for baseball. I'm telling you my exact stock tips. So I have to say, you have to be careful. Obviously, you could lose. Things happen. Players get hurt. They could have a situation in the press that gets them canceled or something happens with them. Those things can happen. What I'm gambling on is, will this player get injured? Will he have a cancel situation that hurts them? Or can this player withstand the test of time? Or is the player retired and can't get hurt? All right. So this young player is Juan Soto. This is who I'm betting on for baseball. So Juan Soto, and you can see the grading. This is not PSA. This is what's called Beckett. And so with Beckett, or BGS, you're going to see different types of things. You're going to see where it says the centering, the edges, the corners, and the surface. And you'll see the actual number, the rating number, if it's in pristine condition, the model number of the card, and the year. There are different variations of each card. So it's important when you're researching, and the best way to research is go on to eBay and look at sold items and completed items. So when you go on to eBay, look at sold items and completed items. From there, you'll be able to see what people have actually paid for that card. The value of a card is just like a lot of things. It's only worth what people are willing to pay for it. So what I like to do is I look on StockX or on eBay on previously sold items of the exact card that I have or the exact card that I want to buy, and you can see what did somebody actually pay for that card. All right, Zion Williamson. I have an unreal amount of Zion Williamson cards. I don't know, 100, 200, 300 of this card, and I want as many more as possible. Why? Zion has come out of the gates as what we're expecting to be one of the premier marketable, high-scoring, fun-to-watch players in the game. Are there other great players? Absolutely. But you need to have marketing to go along with it, and Zion is cover of video games, magazines, the sports card boxes, like he's on the cover of the box. That's important. So Zion Williamson, I'm making a very big bet on. I look at him the same way you would look at Netflix, Apple, Google, Facebook. The way I'm talking about stocks is the same way I talk about sports cards. I'm talking about my 10 guys, my young guys, which we're going to go through one by one, why I'm buying them. The same way I would look at and analyze, why do I want to buy Netflix, Shopify, Square, these companies that I've invested in for years. Why am I diversifying my assets of not just buying more stocks? Why am I buying these guys? LeBron James obviously is our legend. I buy him in 4 variations of his rookie card. And again, by me teaching you this, it messes it up for me because now the market will get more expensive. If you guys all go buy this LeBron James rookie card, it goes up in price, but I'm still collecting right now. So it's going to make it more expensive for me. So I do it because I want you to learn about it and then taste it. Meaning, go spend a couple $100. You don't have to spend thousands or tens of thousands. Pick a number that's comfortable for you Pick a player or a sport that you like. Let's say you like basketball, football, baseball, etc. You might like golf. You might want Tiger Woods. You might love tennis. You could buy Andre Agassi. Think about something that you enjoy and then look at it as an asset. Look for their rookie cards. Look for the ones and research, really research. What are people looking for? What's the main card? If you'll notice, I keep showing and I have multiple of this card because I've got stacks of this exact same card because that's the one that's second to his main rookie card. There's a guy named Mike Trout. Mike Trout, his cards are expensive because he's going to go down in history as like the Mickey Mantle of our time. Mike Trout is a very expensive card, hard to collect when you're going after the pristine PSA 10 of Mike Trout. However, is a player that you want to learn and watch. This card is actually only 20 bucks. So this card is a collaboration with a jeweler named Ben Baller. And Ben Baller did a deal with Topps, the big sports card company. They make the boxes of sports cards. And he made this artist rendition of Mike Trout. Why? Why does it matter? Well, what's compelling about it is Ben Baller is helping the marketing to the masses for the sports card industry. And so I've been buying $5, $10, $20,000 at a time of these cards, even though they're only 20 bucks. So I have hundreds and hundreds of each of these cards, hoping that a $20 card becomes 30 bucks or 40 bucks or 50 bucks or 100 bucks or more. Why does that matter? Well, if it goes from 20 bucks to 50 bucks, it doesn't sound like a lot of money, right? But if I have 200 of them and I spent $4,000 for 200 and then they go to 50 bucks, my $4,000 becomes 10 grand. You see the difference? If you can start looking at things as like, okay, if I believe that player that's 50 bucks now will be 200 later, that's better than any investment that you can make. It's better than any stock, any real estate, because it's going from 50 to 200 and you have a physical asset. Your downside is low because unlikely it'll go from 50 to 0, right? There's very few cards that if you're going after a mainstream player, a household name player, that will go from 50 bucks to 0. Could it go from 50 down to 40 or 30? Of course it can, but then you can wait and hold. But if it goes from 50 to 100 or 150 or 200 or 300, I mean, you can start to see if you had 10 of them or 20 of them or 100 of them, how interesting the math gets. Ben Baller also did a card with Ricky Henderson. Same thing, it's 20 bucks. He was able to sell 14,000 to 45,000 units of these cards in 48 hours. All he did was post on social media, hey, I'm doing this card with Ricky Henderson, and I'm doing this card with Mike Trout. And within 48 hours, sold 14,000 to 45,000 units of these cards. What's cool is they will never be printed ever again. That is the entire run. So hopefully those $20 cards become worth 50 bucks, 100 bucks, etc. There's also a rare card or a rare set of 10 inside each collection. So when they do those big drops, a drop means a 48-hour run. They have a 1 of 10 and a 1 of 1. So recently, I posted on my social media, I found the 1 of 1 Mike Trout card for $15,000. So Ben Baller did a special edition. It's 1 of 1, all gold. He's going to actually sign it, so it's going to be worth more. I got it for $15,000. That sounds crazy, even just saying it out loud, that I bought a card that was just made a few months ago for 15 grand. Why? Well, a couple reasons. One, that card is going to be worth $30,000 to $50,000. Two, I'm going to get the card autographed, which will increase the value. Three, when I get the card autographed, I'm also going to get it graded. Meaning, right now a card looks like this, that's not graded. Notice that there's nothing on the top, there's no stats. This is a graded card versus a non-graded card. See the difference? The stats up here, there's a QR code, PSA rated, it says the level of the card, everything about it. This card says nothing. This is what's considered raw. This is a raw card, okay? So if I take a raw card and I go get it graded like this, it will increase the value if it's a 9 or a 10. If it's a 7 or an 8, probably won't increase the value because a raw card could be pretty similar in pricing, but at least you would have a rating on it at a 7 or 8. If you get a 9, it's gonna be really good, but if you get a 10, dramatically better, way better. All right. Next we have Mr. Shaquille O'Neal. So what's interesting about Shaquille O'Neal is Shaq is constantly in the media. Shaq is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He's done amazing investments in some household name corporations over the years. He's got a fascinating story, but he's still on TV every single week, hosting and broadcasting. By default, his card will continue to go up because he keeps getting marketing, and he hasn't even had that big jump or increase. When people finally realize, wait a minute, Shaq was one of the best of all time, I look for this card to go up in value, especially this specific card called the Beam Team. I buy different Shaq rookie cards, but I focus on what's called Beam Team. All right, this guy's name is Trae Young. So Trae Young is a young superstar. This is the brand called Prism, Panini Prism. Okay, so Panini is these boxes over here. Panini Prism is one of the mainstream cards that the kids are going crazy over. So when you look at a player like Trae Young, and this is a gem mint, this is a 10, this card, I can't even explain how much it's gone up. It's hard to grasp when this card was only $100 and $200 and now is up 3, 4, 5, 600%. It's really hard to grasp those kind of returns in 1 year. And the liquidity of the market. What does the liquidity mean? So the liquidity of the market is, if I posted this green one, this is a green prism. If I posted this green prism or the silver prism on eBay or StockX, I could sell it today. I might even be able to sell it within the same hour. Do you see what I'm saying? The liquidity of the market is what's crazy. If I put up a house on the real estate, if I'm in a really, really hot area, I might be able to sell it in a week or two. If I'm in a slow area, it might take me 2 months, 5 months, 6 months, a year, never. With these, the real estate is so hot. The market is so hot that if I put these up on eBay or StockX, they will sell immediately. That's what's crazy about it. I can buy cards that are $300, sell them for $500 a week or two later, which sounds crazy to say out loud because it's just such a rare thing to actually happen in other markets. But in this market, I'm seeing it happen every single day. The next player is Luka. So Luka is far and away the player that people are going the craziest over. Him and Zion are neck and neck for what people are just dying for. This Luka card was $75 at that convention last year. Okay? $75. This card right now, you guys can go online to eBay or StockX, is $900. How can you turn a $75 investment into $900? I'm saying it with emotion because I want you to grasp this. Like, I'm so passionate about it because I can see the supply and demand. I can see the fact that all these people are talking about sports card industry and getting excited and buying cards, but not selling. So the market is getting very, very compelling because if everybody starts buying up all these Luka cards, but they're not selling many of them, well, all those people that keep coming in that want to buy can't. This card, his name is really hard to say. Giannis Antetokounmpo. I don't think I said it right. Giannis is a player that's going to go down in history as well. Now, what's fascinating is, same concept, you can actually watch a video that Gary made recently on TikTok, and I believe it's on Instagram as well, but it's definitely on TikTok. In that video, he's talking about how he was buying Giannis for $100, $200, $300. During the convention, I think it was $300. The Giannis card, there's a different Giannis card here, it's not the specific one. That card went up to $3,000 when Gary put out the video a week ago. Okay? $300. He said back during the convention that card would be worth $1,000 or $1,500. That card went up to $3,000 last week from $300. You know what's crazy? That card right now is selling on eBay for $4,000. Think about the difference of $3,000 to $4,000. That is a humongous increase. It happened in a week. I've just never seen anything like this. And so I want you to research everything I'm talking about. I don't want you to just go out and buy a bunch of cards. And it doesn't have to be exactly what I'm buying, but there's a reason of why I'm buying what I'm buying. I'm trying to be focused. There's a lot of options out there. You could buy wrestling cards, Pokemon, soccer, basketball, hockey. There's so many sports you could buy into. And I'm not saying not to, but I'd like you to focus on what do you enjoy. If you love wrestling, go try to find Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man Randy Savage and the Ultimate Warrior. If that's what you like, go for it. If you love tennis, well, look into the Andre Agassi. Look into the players that you grew up on. Pete Sampras, like, buy those cards. There are some amazing, amazing players that have come out of each sport, and think about what your passion is, what you enjoy, and how you can invest into it. Next, I'm going to talk about the Panini Prism box. So somehow I've had the willpower to not open this box, but I have 40 of them upstairs. Why does that matter? Well, this box is, what you do is, this is called wax. So people nickname this in the industry wax. So this wax gets ripped. The nickname for ripping is opening the box, taking the packs out, and opening the packs that are inside. This one has 2 autographs and 22 prisms inside, guaranteed, and 12 cards per pack, 12 packs per box. Why does all that matter? There's 12 packs inside this box, okay? Well, this box I paid $350 for, but I got 40 of them. So let's call the math. $350 times 40 is $14,000. Now some I bought for $325, some I paid $375, but let's use $350 as the general average because that was the main price during the convention. So 40 boxes times $350 is $14,000. Well, if you go online right now on StockX or eBay, these are selling for $1,300 to $1,550 right this second. Most people are selling them for $1,500. If you're selling for $1,300, I mean, I would buy it for $1,300 just because I know I can sell it for $1,500 right this same second. The liquidity of the market on boxes is instantaneous. Everybody wants it because they're addicted to opening these boxes and trying to find these players. Zion, Ja Morant, Rue, RJ Barrett, those guys are all inside of this box. They're guaranteed, some of them, to be inside of this box. Now, will you get a PSA 9, an 8, or a 10? That depends on how you handle the cards. Are you careful with it? How is the centering, etc.? That's what the excitement is. It feels like gambling. Now, what's the math if it's $1,500 for a box now? You guys can go look it up. Go look on StockX or eBay right now for this exact box. Well, if it's $1,500 times 40, that's $60,000. That means my $14,000 investment is now worth $60,000 1 year later, and it's liquid. Meaning I can place this box, and let's call it 10 or 20 of those boxes, up on eBay and sell through them right now. I can place them on StockX, sell through them right now. I'm going to really blow your minds. Ready for this? This box is called the National Treasure. The 2019-2020 Panini National Treasures box. 1 box of cards, and inside of this box, there's not that many cards. But the cards that you do pull out have a high value, especially if you get the right ones. So, why does it matter? This box, if you can find it, is $4,200 for a single box that only has a few cards inside. This is the epitome of gambling and investing at the same time. Why? Well, I bought this box for much less than $4,000, and inside there are cards that range from $25,000 to $100,000 for 1 card. There are bounties out there, meaning somebody will automatically pay you no matter what. If you pull it, of $550,000 on the Zion Williamson. If you get a Zion Williamson out of a box like this, and it's the 1 of 1, there's a famous investor out there in the space that has a bounty that's willing to pay $550,000 for that card. All right, so I'm going to dive into some questions with you guys. I see a bunch of questions coming in. All right. So somebody said, I heard Gary Vee was going all in on cards. You might have saw he did a podcast today, and I posted about it in my Instagram stories, where they were kind of joking, but not totally joking, where Gary was just saying, look, I'm super into it. All I can do is focus on buying cards, and he's just all in. Listen, that's coming from, I keep using Gary because he's such a busy guy with so many businesses, so many investments. He just had a big exit with his company, with the wine company. And he's out there buying cards that are $100, $50, $500, $200, separate from the crazy cards that are $5 grand and 10 grand. He's buying these type of cards as well. Next question was, Dan, have you looked at 1979 Wayne Gretzky PSA 10 selling on eBay right now? So I haven't seen it. I have heard about it in our group chats. I have about 11 group chats that are just about sports cards. So that is a perfect example. A Wayne Gretzky, even with me not knowing or seeing it, I know that that's a great card to own because Wayne Gretzky is a generational player. He is already in history books. He is the guy. We know his number 99, Wayne Gretzky. Like when you talk about hockey, you think of Wayne Gretzky. So why does that matter? Well, as people want to get into the space, they're going to look at somebody like Wayne Gretzky as an entry point or as the most sought after card. The same way you think about Jordan and LeBron for basketball, that's what people will think about if they like hockey. They're going to think about Wayne Gretzky. So focusing on the rookie card is important because that's where people are going to send their energy towards and their money towards. Kyle says, my friends have started collecting basketball cards and we can't find any at Walmarts or Targets near us. So what happens is Walmart and Target do carry boxes like this, different versions. But what happens is because the market got so crazy and there's so much so much demand and such little supply, many stores, even as big as Walmart and Target, only get 10 boxes, 50 boxes, 20 boxes of this. So a lot of times staff members are buying it, they're telling their friends about it, or sports card industries have like group chats, or they have Facebook groups, or they have meetup groups, and they just know, hey, it's gonna drop Tuesday at 9 a.m. at that Target. They'll go there and buy all 20 of them, or all 50 of them, or all 100 of them. And a lot of times the locations actually have to make a cap, meaning, hey, you can only buy 2 boxes, or you can only buy 5 boxes, because they know somebody like myself is like, hey, I'll just go there and buy all 50 boxes for $200 each. That's 10 grand, but I know I'm gonna be able to sell them for $400 or $500 later. So I'm willing to gamble. Or they know that there's gonna be kids that are used to be sneaker flippers, meaning that they buy and sell sneakers. They'll go there and take $800 with them, buy 4 boxes, put them up on eBay right away and start selling them for $300 each. Try to turn their $800 into $1,200 or $1,300 or $1,500 right away. Kyle said, I can't wait to go through my son's cards tomorrow. We have Luka, Ja, Zion, etc. We just can't find cards very much since Christmas. So what's fascinating is, as you're looking through those cards, the raw cards, meaning the ones that are ungraded, they've gone up in value a lot. Take a photo of that card. Really look at it and go on eBay and on StockX and look at the closed items and the sold items. Look there and you can try to figure out the price points. Be careful how you're handling the card and look at the card. If it looks like it could get a PSA 9 or a PSA 10, like it looks like it's really clean, really, take that card, package it up properly, and you can actually send it off to PSA to get it graded. Now, you can normally ask a local sports card shop to try to help you because the wait times have been 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months to get the card back graded. If you go through a sports card shop, a lot of times they have a connection, a relationship, because they've been sending out so many sports cards to get graded from PSA or from some of the other grading services. You will want to ask them. It might cost you like $25 to get graded, but if you get a PSA 9 or PSA 10 of these type of cards like Luka, Zion, and Ja, it's worth its weight in gold. You know, your card's gonna be worth 20, 30, 40 times what you paid to get it graded. Ismail says, how do you know what specific type of cards you should get, such as basketball, soccer, football, Pokemon, etc.? So getting those and which cards is looking at and thinking about who are the absolute best players in that sport. So hockey, you've got guys like Wayne Gretzky. Soccer, think about Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, Pele. I'm buying Kylian Mbappe. Think about those type of players If it's basketball, look at the young rookies. Who are the superstars? Who's on the cover of the boxes? Who's on the cover of the video games? Who are those superstars? And then you make your bet. You say, okay, I'm willing to invest $200. I'm going to buy this rookie card of this player, and I'm going to put it in my safe, or I'm going to put it in my closet, and I'm going to hide it away. And then as you're watching it, you might say, you know what, I'm going to buy a second one, and maybe a third one, and a fourth one. But you want to buy the players that have a liquid market. So if you decide to sell, whether the price goes up or down, they mostly be going up, but again, things can go down. As it's growing up in price, you can make decisions. Especially if you have 4, 5, 6, 7 of a card and you paid $200 each for them, for example. The decision you can make is similar to the stock market. If your card goes from $200 to $400 and $500, you might take half of the cards that you had, sell them for $400 each. Now you're doing what's called free rolling. So let's just break it down. Let's say you bought, let me pick out a card. You bought Kyler Murray, okay? You bought 5 Kyler Murrays for $200 each. So that's $1,000 investment, right? You love this guy, for example. You buy 5 of the card, you spend $1,000, $200 each. But let's say the card goes up to $450. And you notice on StockX and eBay, because you check once every month or so. Right now, I'm checking every day. Some people check every week, every month, or once a year. Depends on what your interest level is. And you notice it goes to $450. Well, you hit the jackpot. You have a decision to make. You have 5 of them, and you spent $1,000. So, because you invested $1,000, you might say, hey, I'm going to sell 2 of them for $450 each, or wait till they get to $500 each, take out $900 to $1,000, and then what happens? You've got your original investment back. You got your $900 to $1,000 back. You sold 2 of them, but now you have 3 left, and you paid 0 for them. See what's beautiful about that? That's called free rolling. You could end up free rolling on 3 of these cards that are now $450 to $500 each that you paid nothing for and you got your original $1,000 back. Now you have another decision to make. Do you keep the $1,000, or you go say, you know what? I'm going to spend $1,000 and I'm going to buy 5 of these for $200 each. I'm going to buy Mbappe for $200 each and try to do it again. That's a decision you have to make based on your investing profile. And you have to think to yourself, what do you like? Do you like to do a quick flip? Do you like to invest long-term and hold? Do you like to see, feel, and touch it? That's the decision you have to look at when you're deciding what you want to invest in, what players you want to invest in, and what sports you want to invest in. So the question was, how do you know if a card's current value is inflated? Well, the whole market is inflated right now. That's what's crazy, is that there's no rhyme or reason when you actually just sit down and think about it, how these cards can be up. How is this box $1,500 when last year was $350? How are these rookie cards, how are these cards $1,000 that used to be $75? $900 that used to be $75? That's just crazy, right? So in that regard, it feels inflated. But every time I say that, the card price goes up because the demand keeps rising. As more and more people are talking about it, and more people are interested in it, and more money comes into the space, they're only fighting for X amount of cards. So if Gary Vee, myself, and you get excited and you start posting about it, and we inspire some guy with a real estate fund, a lady that's been a doctor for 17 years, and she decides she wants to start investing for her kids and for herself, and this real estate mogul starts investing, well, they're going to go after targeted cards also. Well, they want LeBron James rookies. They want Michael Jordan rookies. They want Kobe Bryant rookies. They want certain players rookies too because that's what they know. Those famous players are always going to stand out in people's minds whether they know much about sports or not. Think of this as the modern day art. And so if you have modern day art, people pay for art what they emotionally feel about it, what they think about it, what the perceived value is of it. And art is finite. Normally, an art piece is going to only have 1 of 1 or 1 of 10 or 1 of 500 if it's a print run. Because of that, you know on the print run of 500 how much they're worth. They should be worth, let's call it $200, $500, $1,000 each. The 1 of 10, well, that should be worth about $5,000 or $10,000 based on the value and how many people want that supply, that limited supply, and how much demand there is. But your 1 of 1 art piece is always going to have a huge implied value that's based on emotion. and there's not very many ways to tell how much it should actually be, except for how much people are willing to pay for it. So I really want you to think about that in every aspect. If there's a lot of supply, like over here, you can't see it, but there's like 30,000 baseball cards. There's a lot of supply because in the 1980s and 90s, there was a ton of baseball cards made. That's called junk wax. With these boxes of National Treasure and Prism, there was only X amount that were made, and a ton of people are opening them. This box, everybody wants to buy to open it to try to find Zion and Lucas, John Morant's, and all these different players. They want to find those guys in there. They want to find Trae Young, RJ Barrett, Rue. They want to find these players inside those boxes and hopefully get a 1 of 1 or a 1 of 10 that's worth $2,000, $5,000, $10,000. Some of those cards are $50,000 and $100,000. So people are buying these and gambling because they like it. It's exciting for them, or they do it with their children. So I say these things and I implore you, be careful, research, but really think about this as another form of an asset class. I'm not saying go take out 50% of your net worth and go buy a bunch of cards, but think about a small allocation where you're like, you know what, if I bought $200 of cards or $1,000 or $2,000, whatever is comfortable for you, and I was like, you know, I like LeBron James, or I like Michael Jordan, or I like Zion Williamson, or I like Tiger Woods, or Brett Favre, or Tom Brady, or etc. Consider trying to find the rookie card that you like, trying to see that there's a lot of people fighting for it, but that there's a limited supply, and the demand is there. All right. How is the counterfeit market in terms of graded cards, or is it not too prevalent? So the reason you want to get it graded is because it helps reduce your risk that you have a fake card or a fake signature. So can people fake cards and fake signatures? Of course. Just like any industry, people do fake stuff. With Supreme clothing, fake. Louis Vuitton clothing, fake. Gucci bags, fake. Every industry, if it gets hot and expensive, a lot of times foreign countries will make a knockoff product, way more affordable, super high quality, and it's hard to tell that it's even fake because they have really great manufacturing. So can there be fakes? Yes. If you buy a box and open up the cards and pull cards out, there can't be any fakes. This is a sealed box. If you buy a PSA graded card in a sealed case, it's very, very, very unlikely because their whole job is to authenticate this card. That's literally the name of what the company is it's an authentication service. So you don't have to worry about that too much. Can it happen? 0.1%. It's so rare. It's like a lot of things would have to happen, and there's a lot of people watching within PSA, for example, to make sure that the cards are great, make sure the cards are real, make sure the signatures are real, that I wouldn't really worry too much when you're buying graded cards. When you're on eBay, make sure that it's a verified seller. Okay, very important. When you're on eBay, make sure that person has good ratings and has done some sales before, preferably hundreds of sales, or in sports cards, thousands of sales. If somebody's only done 0 sales or 1 or 2 or 3 sales, I wouldn't buy an expensive card from them because you don't know what's going to happen. The good thing is eBay does a protection service. So eBay does protect both the buyer and the seller. So if something happens, you can get your money back or get it insured by eBay. So the next question was, would you say that given the COVID occurred in the 2020 season, those cards for that year will increase given the circumstances that occurred? So this is the most unique year of our life. It's the most unique year of our generation. There's been a lot of tragedies that have happened in our past. Obviously, there's been market collapses, horrible wars that have happened in the 70s and 80s and 50s. Like, things have gone terribly in certain times of our life. The reason this time it's so amplified is because of social media and TV and the media in general. And so this year for sports is fascinating. We don't know if people are going to actually get to play sports, meaning, will the NBA bubble work? Will they actually have a season? We don't know. We're hoping. It feels like it. They're practicing. They look like they're going to play. They're all restricted, and they're being very, very strict about the fact, like, one of the players walked outside to pick up a Postmates. He's got to be quarantined for 14 days now. So they are being very strict, even though he just walked outside to pick up a food bag. They are being quite strict. I'm hoping that basketball happens. It is very interesting if the NBA bubble season happens because it will add interesting value and increase marketing-wise for these players. Baseball, Again, we're hoping that it happens. Will there be fans? We don't know. Football, some football teams are saying there will be 25% of their audience will be there in the stadium or arena. Football is tough because there's so many players. You got 53 players, 56 players out there on the field. You've got coaches, defensive coordinators. There's so many people involved in a football team. It's like hundreds and hundreds of people up and down on the sidelines during a football game. That one is pretty tough. When you think about NBA, there's 5 main players on the court on each team. They have their bench, which is, let's call it 8 to 13 people. I know the numbers. I'm just trying to do this fast because we only have 2 minutes left. So let's say there's around 15 people on the team. Baseball and basketball, there's just not that many players, so it's easier to control, and there's only X amount of coaches, managers, etc. In football, man, you got 53 or 56 players out there, and so many defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators, coaches, ball boys, everybody in between. That one's really, really tough. I hope that they do it. I think it's important for our society. We love it. It's a great escape for us, especially during this traumatic time and so much chaos in the world. I think that the asterisk, meaning that it's not a normal season, the asterisk on this season is actually more interesting and will provide more value for these cards. All right. So we only got 2 minutes left. I'm going to leave you guys with this. I really want you to do the research. Think about it. Listen to some podcasts. Go on YouTube. Look up Gary Vee sports cards. Look at OTS sports. Look at these things online. Watch some people. Listen, learn. Make your decisions carefully. There's no rush. Listen, sports cards are going up, but this has been going on for 100 years. And then when you decide you like soccer, or you like football, or you like basketball, or you like golf, whatever sport you like, make a small bet, a number that's comfortable for you. Buy 1 card or 2 cards or 3 cards of a card just to be part of the game, to understand it. Go on StockX, the mobile app, or go on eBay, and just go through the process. Maybe you don't buy a card for months, or maybe you decide to buy 10 cards this week. Whatever you decide, do it carefully, research, listen, have fun, enjoy it. We'll talk to you guys soon.